by Riverside.
Well, it's so good to have the mayor on. How are you doing today?
I am doing well, thank you. And how are you?
I'm good. It's good to talk to you. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
I am as well. Thanks for having me.
Great. So I'm going to give you a question to kind of warm you up. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh my goodness, the best piece of advice I've ever seen or received. Probably to be confident in who God created me to be. Um, yeah, that's probably it.
That's good. That's good, solid advice. I like that.
Yeah.
Always serves you well when you're confident in the person God made you and created you to be. I love that.
Yeah, and that can, you know what? That can mean walking in faith and recognizing how he created us and being able to make decisions that has served me well.
I love that. So I did some research on you before we get this interview, and I knew you were going to participate in the Mayor's Cup. Tell me how that turned out for you.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was glad that they did some modified events. So for those who may not be familiar, the Mayor's Cup was 13 mayors from Northwest Ohio in a friendly challenge of kind of football related skills games to promote the Italian Cup in Toledo, Ohio. So I ended up coming in fifth place. So I'm happy with that. And
Congratulations.
it was a lot of fun. I, recognized that I definitely am, not a pro athlete by any means, but I did not injure or embarrass myself too bad. So I'll take it.
Well, good. Good to know that.
Yeah.
So I like to ask leaders, especially like yourself, what do you think about your leadership approach that sets you apart from other people?
What sets me apart from other people as a leader?
Yeah.
I would say that I really have the ability to look at a situation and put my opinions to the side. I really feel like I'm able to kind of look at a situation, analyze the information, and see what, like, based off of laws or process, kind of what's appropriate, and have kind of a clean opinion. And then, if appropriate, have my own opinion of it to help like make a decision. But I feel like I'm really able to understand multiple perspectives on an issue and kind of synthesize a problem very quickly.
That's great. I took a class in policy, and then one of the things we talked about is when you're doing policy making, you have to take other people's opinion and realize that they offer something to the argument. And how do you listen to people and evaluate different points of view? Because you're in
Mhm.
a position where you're participating in government where there are different, probably vastly different ideas of how you do something.
Oh, definitely. And I was really fortunate that actually in high school, my government professor, we would very frequently have, debates in class. And he tended, after a little while, he would always be like, okay, Christina, what's your opinion on this topic? And I would say, like, okay, here's my gut reaction opinion on this thing. And he would be like, okay, now argue the other side. And he would always have me argue the other side, which I think is really good. It's healthy to understand the viewpoints and strengths and weaknesses, not only of your own argument, but kind of the other side of the coin. And I think that that's really allowed me to look at things more objectively and see multiple opinions and be able to say, well, this is what is fair and proper and creates a good policy or process, not just a policy or process or, situation that gives the outcome that I want.
One of the key things for me in government is once you set up a policy is evaluating it. So how do you,
Mhm.
once you've decided something or passed something, how do you evaluate to see whether or not it's actually achieving the goals you set out to achieve?
Yeah, so that's a little challenging. It really depends on, what the policy or procedure is. But a lot of time it's feedback and kind of trial and error, seeing how it plays out. For example, we were just talking about in City Planning Commission, zoning policies. And if individuals are coming frequently asking for a variance from a policy, then that kind of raises a red flag of like, okay, this is not working for the people it's meant to serve. How can we look at adjusting it? Um, or, is it doing what we want and it's safeguarding a neighborhood from development that wouldn't be appropriate? So I think, just listening. But then I'm actually working on implementing kind of standard review of policies, procedures, fees across the board. And I think that's also something you kind of need to build in to make sure that it happens regularly.
That's excellent. I'm always curious for leaders like yourself. We don't make this journey by ourselves. There are people along the way who've served to inspire us. Who are those people in your life who you can think back and say, this person really played an important role in my life?
Yeah, well, definitely my family. I'm one of four girls, and my mother, my parents, and my grandparents were all very supportive and loving and encouraging throughout, and always raised us to, we joked in our, I shouldn't say we joked, but that we're warriors, that we're able to go out and we can be strong and achieve what we want to achieve, and that we can also be kind and empathetic and understanding, and find that balance. And so I would just say my family in general, they're also always obviously that safe space for me, and folks that give you honest truth, and then also some of the hardest people to argue with when I do disagree with them. But so far we've all been able to get through our disagreements, so that's good.
That's good. Yeah, it's always good.
Yeah.
So I looked at your story, but I'd like for you to tell the audience about your journey. How did you get from where you were to where you are now?
Yeah. So, I'll try to give a brief synopsis. Telling our life stories quickly is always a challenge. But I grew up in Findlay, Ohio. My parents were divorced when I was young, but always very engaged in each of us girls' lives. My father passed away suddenly from a brain aneurysm when I was 11. So definitely had to figure out how to navigate life, with losing a parent at a young age. But really had a family that just encouraged us to again be independent and confident and go out in the world. I decided to go to the University of Findlay, which was a great fit for me. It always felt like home, and got degrees in economics and marketing and a minor in finance, and had a lot of great opportunities while I was in college. I met my husband, my now husband, there, who we've been together for about 12 years, which is crazy. Um, and while at the University of Findlay, interned with a couple of different companies, but ultimately took a job with a local company here in Findlay that was kind of a startup organization called Pain Management Group. And they were working, in the kind of early to mid 2010, 2013 is when I joined them, and they were really on the front lines of trying to get people off of opioids for pain management. And so that was really cool to work with them and work to help grow that organization. And as they partnered with hospitals to run pain clinics, I was helping do a variety of jobs when I first started, kind of as a management fellow, doing a little bit of everything. And then when I left there, I was the director of business and physician development, where I was helping find new partners for us, working to do all the contract negotiations, financial projections, and then also overseeing our implementation team and physician onboarding. So in doing all the physician recruiting and overseeing the team that brought them on and got them up and running. How I ended up as mayor is definitely just the right doors opening, and being able to being recognized in the community as someone who really cared about its future and cared passionately about having good government. And so I really had been involved in the local Republican Party, helping with various campaigns. I had been involved in a number of kind of community oriented committees, and just had some good connections. And when our prior mayor, Lydia Mahalik, stepped down to become the director of development for the state of Ohio, they were looking to appoint someone. And I had a couple folks reach out to me and say, hey, we think you should try to seek this position, and that you really would do a good job continuing to lead our community and making sure that we evolve to be a great place to live, learn, work, and play, and raise a family. And so I put my name in the hat, started really meeting with all of the local leaders, and fortunately was appointed, and then won my primary and general election to start my own term in 2020. And then I actually just a couple of months ago got through my primary reelection. And so we'll have a general election with a write-in candidate running against me, but hopefully will be reelected in November to start my second term in January of 2024. So that is the very brief history of Christina.
That's a great journey. I'm curious,
Yeah.
since you decided to run for mayor, so what is your vision for Findlay?
Yeah. I want Findlay to be a place that continues to strive for being a, smaller micropolitan community that has a really kind of community neighborly feel, but also has amenities that attract, young people and young families. And, I love the diversity of our community and the folks that have been here for 60, 70, 80 years. But we also need to make sure that we're being a community that's welcoming to young families and isn't just people, though I think it's great to have folks that come home just because this is where they grew up. But we also need to make sure that we're bringing in families from across the country that are going to be new and vibrant and add to our economy to make sure that we're sustainable long term. And I think to do that, you need to have really good, just standard operations for government that's focused on our daily services, but also an innovative government that makes sure that we're investing in creative things, like recreation and amenities and community events, and making sure that, a community that's really thriving is not just a nice home, but it's really a community. And I think creating opportunities for those connections is really key. And so that's really what I'm excited about continuing to create in Findlay.
How we connected was someone said, you just got back from a gathering of mayors across the country talking about some very difficult topics, ranging
Mhm.
from things like public safety to mental health, technology, innovation, achieving functional zero, homelessness, infrastructure, immigration, and climate resiliency. Of those topics, which ones pose the greatest challenge for Finley?
Yeah, so obviously those are all really important topics, and Finley's fortunate that we don't have some of the extreme issues that other communities have, but we definitely are experiencing all of those in different ways. Um, One of the big issues that we're really working on right now is we have seen an uptick in, mental health issues, depression, substance abuse, as well as homelessness. Now, when we look at it overall, we've not seen huge increases, but we have definitely seen a noticeable increase. And so we're really trying to partner, and city government, can't solve the problem. It's really about bringing the right partners to the table to try to solve it. So we continue to work very closely with our Adamus board, our Focus organization, our mental health counseling services through the Family Resource Center, as well as working on homelessness, having connections and touch points with individuals that, you know, aren't in a place to really help themselves address their issues. It's really challenging. There's no easy solution. But those are things where, a lot of the other topics we're making progress on, and we can put together a plan and we can bring developers in and we can bring new businesses in. And I trust us to be able to do those things. And so we need to put energy into them. But the really challenging problems are those social issues that didn't show up overnight. They're going to take a lot of effort and collaboration. And so those are some of the most difficult issues that I see on our plate right now.
Mention the importance of partnerships. Is there a partnership you're really excited about that you are encouraged by?
Oh my goodness. You know what? I would say our community foundation is probably one of my most exciting partnerships right now. And that's not because like they are, way better than any of our others, but it's really because they have a flexibility and help support all of our other social services and nonprofit organizations. So, what I really love about them and the United Way is that I can call them up and they have a really good finger on the pulse of all of the other organizations or what they're seeing as emerging needs. Or they also have creativity and flexibility with if I call them up and I say, hey, I'm seeing this issue or this cool opportunity, are you willing to help support with some seed money or can we partner on this? And so that's a relationship that I really see as valuable. But we're fortunate in Findlay and Hancock County that we really have great partnerships across the board. And that collaboration, I think, really positions us well to be able to face our challenges, but also to just continue to make Findlay a wonderful place.
Just read recently that one of the things that's impacting particularly young people is the cost of housing. You mentioned homelessness. In your area of Finley, what are you doing or helping to do for young families who are trying to buy that first home?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different things we recognize, that coming out of 2000. 2008, the financial crisis and the housing bubble, we lost a lot of local developers. And Finley's not unusual that that really was an issue across the board. So things that we're doing is we are focusing on trying to expand our supply of homes at all price points and all types, recognizing that every family wants something a little bit different. And we need to have both entry level homes, workforce homes, homes when you're a more affluent, and of all different types, rentals, single family condos, etc. So really working again to attract, developers to build out our community, looking at how we can get properties that have been abandoned or dilapidated for some reason back in circulation, working to make sure that our policies and procedures or processes are not barriers to developers, but also just helping partner with. I'm really excited about the Financial Opportunity Center that we have here in town. And that's an organization that works to do financial counseling with residents and helps, really walk them through how to create a budget, how to understand taxes, what resources are out there to get them stabilized, and then working with them to hopefully be able to be on a path to get rid of debt, to be able to afford a down payment, to be able to get into a more stable home. Recognizing that though rentals are super important and a really great part, I used to be a landlord. There's also something that's really important about having that asset and being able to have that home ownership where you're not you create that more stability for your family long term as well.
We're living in some very politically divided times. How, as a leader, do you navigate the polarizing situation we have politically in our culture?
Yeah, it's really difficult, especially as a mayor, because when you're really just serving the people, a lot of the decisions we make are not political. And so I really try to just say, again, going back to that, understanding all sides of the situation and then trying to make the best decision that I think is going to serve the public well, regardless of if it is a more Republican idea or a more Democratic idea. I think what we're really doing is serving the people, and that's what's important. I encourage people to have conversation. I think that that's something that we have really lost, and especially at the federal level, this mentality that there's kind of two big things. One, that if you don't agree with everything that I believe, then you are somehow evil, and I think that that is just completely false. And really, I don't think anybody completely agrees with everybody on something. I barely agree, 90% of the time with my husband, let alone, other people. And then two, I think society has done ourselves a disservice by this mentality that our members of Congress shouldn't sit down with people on the other side of an issue to understand their viewpoint. And instead, when we say, when they say they talked to someone or they sat down and had dinner with somebody, we say that they're evil and they're flipping to the other side and that they're imposters, rather than recognizing that good government means that you're sitting down and working on an issue and trying to, compromise and find opportunities for agreement and progress. And so I think that just encouraging people to recognize that, one, people that don't agree with us are not evil, and two, that having a conversation and understanding other people's opinions is critical to good government and shouldn't be ostracized the way that it is today.
You're right. I think my experience with people is that if you do have a conversation, you're more in the middle with most people than on either of the extremes. And because we don't have those talks, we don't know where people stand. We just assume that they're coming from the other side. So I agree. That's a wonderful way to kind of
Yeah.
break through.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember, and this is harsh and will probably never get me big media time, but is media in general, that not you, not but like people, but like if we look at the television and newspapers, they thrive and sell based off of fear and anxiety and splashiness, and they cover and in my opinion sometimes dramatize a lot of situations, again to get your attention. And I think when we look at the records of Congress, you know the amount of bills that actually get wave time and controversy is so minimal compared to the work that they're actually doing, that I think we just lose sight sometimes, that media sources are in essence trying to make money, and that we need to trust them. They have a role to play, but also look at them with a critical eye and make sure that we're getting multiple sources to be able to, in the end, kind of distinguish between an opinion and fact.
Yeah, I think one of our former presidents said, "Trust but verify."
Yeah, that's always important. And, look at the sources. It's always funny to me. I subscribe to multiple news sources and something will happen and I will get 5 different news alerts. And the title is different based off of the source. But then I will read through the article of each different option and you can very quickly synthesize what really happened because it'll be pretty consistent, the key points, and then it's got a little bit of a different lens depending on who it's coming from. So I think it's important to read multiple sources to help you truly get a full picture as well.
Exactly. My phone has all those, and so my phone kind of blows up. It's not sure exactly which
Yep.
way to go. So, Mayor, if you were speaking to some young person today who's trying to figure out their place in the world, here is your place to give them a piece of advice to give them some encouragement for the future.
Yeah. I think it is believe in yourself and remember that things are never as bad as they seem. Um, you are so much stronger than you even realize. And there's always people out there that want to help you, even if it doesn't seem like it. So find those people who can support you, whether it's an encouraging word or giving you a moment of rest or giving you a good connection. Um, there are people in the world that are good, and it may seem like the world is overwhelming and frustrating and not a good place. But I have a lot of hope and faith. And I think that if young people remember that is, there is a future and it is really bright with them in it, that the world will be a better place and they will have a better life for sure.
Thanks. Good word for young people. So we know besides finishing fifth in the Mayor's Cup, that was good for you. What else are you excited about these days?
Yes, we have tons of projects going on in Finley, and I'm really excited about investing in our recreation, continuing to get strategic planning complete to be able to implement that and continue to just raise the bar for success of our community. I'm a little bit of a nerd where I get excited about like operational processes and policies and good planning. Like that excites me. So I'm really excited to get some of that moving more. And then I think continuing to work on housing and investments in our infrastructure. We're going to have a big interchange project. So it's not super like glamorous things, but I think it's really making a difference in our community and positioning us for success. And I'm really excited about that.
That's awesome. I love to ask my guests this question.
Okay.
What is a legacy you want to leave in the world?
I would say I want people to, when they think of me, to say that she was someone who really cared about people, about her community, about being honest, about, leaving a positive change. And that would be my hope. That would be my goal for my legacy. I truly love this community. I love helping my state and country, and I want to see the world be a better place. And I know that seems very ideological and like, you know, um, aspirational, but I think that really every day that we impact somebody else positively, the world becomes a little better place. And so I think that my goal would be that people reflect on me and say she made the world a better place.
That's an amazing goal. If it comes true, lives are better for the fact that you were part of it and you were in it and you invested in them and listened to them and passed policies that benefited where their lives were.
Yeah, and I think too, just like as an individual, it may not be changing the world on big scale. And I'm going to totally mess up this quote, but you may not, you may not be able to change the world for everyone, but you may be able to change the world for one. And I think that that's, a really good thing to strive for.
That's great. Anything we haven't covered that we're leaving out?
I would just encourage folks that are listening today to get involved in your community, to reach out to your local elected officials and ask if there are things that you can help with, to get engaged with a nonprofit, to look around your neighborhood. And, maybe there's an elderly individual or a single mom or someone new to the neighborhood that you can just go knock on their door and, say, hey, do you want to have a cup of iced tea? Or can I help you pull some weeds? Whatever that may be. But I think that we need to make sure that we're looking up and looking around for how we can help others and engaging in our community, whether it's in our neighborhood or in our church or as in our community as a whole. We need more people to engage and be active and care about themselves, their community, and the people that make it up.
So from an audience who is inspired by what you're doing, want to follow and see what you're doing, keep up with you, where can they follow you and track you on social media?
Yeah, so Mayor Christina Mern on Facebook, Christina Mern on Instagram, and I think it's also Christina Mern on Twitter. So if you look up Mayor Christina Mern, I should come up.
Well, thank you so much, Mayor. It's been good talking to you, and blessings on the work you're doing and the impact you're making in your community. And thank you for taking the time to kind of share with the audience your vision, your heart for people, and your goals for making the world a better place.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.